Greetings and welcome to another episode of Friendly Debates here at Words About Games, the fortnightly video series where Keith and I make top 5 or top 10 lists by debating each other. I'm your host, Amy Alexandra. I'm joined this week by Keith Robinson.
Actually, you're joined by a sweltering mass of flesh,
I'm holding the
barely capable of keeping it together.
like
It's England. It should not be 25 degrees anywhere in England.
in the north of England.
Okay, yeah. London is a hot box filled with enough gas emissions to keep it warm. We're in the north of England. There's
like
Berwick and then there's Scotland. We should not be getting...
England is like Game of Thrones for anyone who doesn't live in England. Basically, the north should be cold.
Yeah. I mean, just to date this podcast, I mean, the guy who's like acting in Spider-Man Far From Home has recently said that English people should get an award for living in such a damn country. That...
The only thing that's damp today is me. On my head.
On that terrifying note, let's move forward.
All the sweat.
Before either our computers or us spontaneously combust.
I'm not happy, man. I couldn't even put makeup on because it's fucking sweltering. Where was I? Yeah, this is Friendly Debate. We do this every 2 weeks unless E3 happens to happen when we're supposed to do one, and then we take the time off because we're doing a live stream watching a press conference. That sounds about right. I had to take a breath. I was like getting through that sentence and I was like, where's the end of this sentence? Anyway, every 2 weeks Keith and I sit down and we debate something. This week, this fortnight, we're debating top 5 Sega Saturn games, which is a lot more tricky than it sounds, let me tell you something.
Yeah. One of the main reasons it's tricky is because Amy never owned a Sega Saturn, and I have since agreed that saying we should do this one, I've discovered that the Sega Saturn, like the developers for it, were a lot less partisan than I thought they were.
Indeed. So how this works is Keith made a list of 7 games, I made a list of 7 games. I've mashed those 2 lists together into a master list of 11 games altogether. So there was a little bit of crossover. What we're going to do is, in the first part of this podcast, we are going to start taking games off of this list. We're going to take turns to nominate a game to be cut, and then we're going to debate. I was going to say argue. We're going to debate back and forth, and then we're going to decide whether the game gets a stay of execution or whether it gets cut. The rules change once we get to making a top 5, but I'll go through that when we get there. And as always, don't take this list too seriously because we probably aren't. Keith wants to say something now.
Yes, he does. Because we're dealing with like a system which is really old, and we're doing like sort of like best exclusive games and stuff, you may possibly remember having played some of these games on other consoles. For instance, when I sent the list to Amy, I put asterisks on all of my 7 ones apart from 2. 2 out of those 7 games do not appear on any other system. The rest of them were I think all of them were ported to the PlayStation 2 after the console, like the Sega's console cycle, and one of them was ported to practically every single system under the sun. But we'll get to that game.
So yeah, I was going to go through that. Fair enough, you did too. That's fine. Basically, yes, this is a list of top 5, 11 Sega Saturn console launch exclusives, as Microsoft would say.
Yeah.
So they came out on the Saturn first, except one, which came out in an arcade. I don't count arcades as being a platform, therefore it came out on Saturn first. It totally counts. Let's show them the list, because the back of the whiteboard's metallic and it's cold. Here's the master list. Top 5 Sega Saturn games. We're going to narrow this down to a top 5 on the list. Keith, you want to read the list? Can you read the list? Is it backwards?
It's backwards, but I can read it. We've got Dragon Force. We have Enemy Zero. We have The House of the Dead. We have Nights into Dreams. Panzer Dragoon, Panzer Dragoon Saga. Saturn Bomberman, Sega Rally Championship. Shining Force 3. Shining, The Holy Ark, and Virtual Fighter 2.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah.
As always, Keith, you get to go first to pick a game to cut off this list.
Right.
Don't know how much resistance you're going to get. Because, full disclosure,
Yeah.
while Keith is making his decision, as he mentioned, I never owned a Saturn. I played Keith's Saturn. I played my friend's Saturn, on my friend's Saturn, and every now and again, because me and my friend were cool, we'd swap consoles for like a week, I think, was the most we ever did it for. So that was and I played one of these games on an emulator. Go on, Keith. Put that out
So the first game I want to cut off this list is a game I had to look up because I had no idea what it was. And then I remember that many, many years ago, me and Russell, who's sometimes on this channel, actually made a bit of fun of the FMV sequence and the demo advert because we thought it would look really stupid. That game is Enemy Zero.
Got Enemy Zero first off. Sorry, go on. You
Yeah.
make your pick.
This is a game where like the interface is like, oh, there's someone trying to burst through like a door, and it's like the graphics for the Sega Saturn were not brilliant because it's a very old system, but it didn't look brilliant. It's like like an invisible monster like running down the horse, and because I didn't realize what game this was, I read a quick just before we started, like literally just before we started, I did a quick read of the storyline. One of which the amazing plot twist is, and spoiler alert for a game which came out like 20 years ago, is that the woman didn't realize that her lover was an android.
I mean, are you finished? Yeah. If we're holding these games up specifically, but any old games, but these games specifically up on them being like, if we're like going to say no to them being cheesy and having shitty storylines, this just became a top 0 Sega Saturn games list, right?
No, and basically I was just like emphasizing my only memories of this game from that time period, and I did get the Sega magazine pretty much every single month. Was that at the time, me and Russell found the demo laughable. It wasn't even a demo; it was basically a trailer. But back then, you got CDs on the front of the Sega magazine. It's basically either give you a demo, like a couple of demo, or like just a trailer which you could watch instead of seeing it on a TV.
Instead of seeing it on it,
like like the trailer, like the adverts you'd see on TV for like. Well, I'm suddenly thinking that Final Fantasy VII was like the first game which had like TV slot trailers. I was
gonna say.
But yeah,
this ain't one on TV.
yeah. Enemy Zero didn't get a TV slot.
I don't know what your games consoles were plugged into in the 90s, but mine were plugged into TVs. Right, here's the thing, right? I don't give a shit. Enemy Zero, whatever. Like, it's a cool concept though. Like, invisible aliens. You have to use like sound location to like figure out where they are. For the first half of the game, you don't have a gun, so you've got to like avoid them. And then for the second half of the game, you get a gun, but it's really shit. So basically, you've still got to kind of avoid them. Nah, man. But the story of why this game came out on Saturn. Did you know about this?
No, I didn't.
It's amazing. So basically, and I've got it written down. I wrote some notes down, and I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. It was supposed to be on the PlayStation, and then the developer, they basically got pissed off at Sony, because it was there was something to do with their older game.
Like a sequel.
It was their pre-orders. Like they didn't get they didn't get very many pre-orders for their game on PlayStation, so they were showing this PlayStation exclusive game called Enemy Zero. Where was it again? It was actually at the PlayStation Expo in Tokyo. According to the thing I've written down, and they played the trailer for Enemy Zero, which was one of the most anticipated games at the thing. And then at the end of the trailer, the PlayStation logo kind of came off, but then it slowly morphed into a Sega Saturn logo. They were like, "It's coming out on Sega Saturn." Fucking legendary.
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
For that reason alone, it should at least be saved for now.
Okay. Give me something you'd like cut off this list instead, and we'll come back to Enemy Zero.
Because that's fucking awesome. Fuck you, Sony. Their own expo. at their own expo.
Don't you would never get away with that like
Oh god,
nowadays.
no! You get sued if you try to do some shit like that now. Um,
That's just didn't check the video and it's like, wow.
yeah, I think they did. Also, the guy who directed Shadow of the Colossus and Eco and The Last Guardian was on this game. I can't remember what he did. He worked on it in some capacity. Okay, Keith, I'm going for a game. Now, this is purely. There's a few games on here where I'm going to be like, I haven't played this. There's a couple of games on here. I don't even know what this is. But I'm going with the game. I definitely know what it is. But it's in a genre of game that I've mentioned before. I think even on this series I've mentioned before that I'm very particular about. And that is Sega Rally Championship. Because
Game over, yeah.
because I think of classic racing games, and I know none of them are on the Saturn, exclusively on the Saturn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, they were better.
Sega Rally Championship is on here for one specific reason. I was finding it difficult to find exclusives because being being so old it predates Wikipedia. A lot of the games here aren't really covered in great detail. But it was one of the first two games that I got with the Saturn. Me and my brother used to play it a bit, and I knew it was an arcade game that was ported over, which is why you get the so memeable game over, yeah.
It's like Kaz Harai and Ridge Racer.
So upbeat that you've just lost this round. I never really liked the game, but it was a game that me and my brother used to play a bit. It was like when he wanted to play with me, this would be the game we played. It was where I learned that I didn't like driving games.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Wipeout I kind of liked because it was a bit like a futuristic sort of fly around Mario Kart before Mario Kart was really a thing. And then we got a much better Wipeout which came later. But yeah, I'm totally happy with you cutting Sega Championships because it was literally the last one I put on here, and it was only so I could do the game over, yeah.
Oh yeah, when we do a PlayStation list,
Yeah.
I am totally getting to put Ridge Racer on there just so I can go Ridge Racer. Probably not, but yes, because I hold that console in very high regard. But anyway,
yeah.
Sega Rally Championship is done and dead and gonzo. Keith, your move.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a game which is part of a game series, which is Beloved, and it's had a few different versions. I'm going to go with Saturn Bomberman, which is one of the two Bomberman games which came out on the Saturn. But basically because I don't actually think it did anything that any other Bomberman game did. It was just a version of Bomberman which only came out on the Saturn.
Shit, you got me. Fuck. You even called me out. I only picked it because it was Saturn Bomberman.
Yeah.
I picked it because I could. I didn't play Saturn Bomberman. Do you know what we played the Bomberman on? PlayStation.
Yeah. I remember seeing I can't even remember what the article was about, but I remember seeing it's like a 3-page article on Bomberman when it came out, but I don't remember which one it is. What I should really have done is dug through the loft and got all those magazines out, all those games out, and started replaying them. But I would need to find some sort of SCART adapter because my TV does 1080p, but doesn't do SCART.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
SCART doesn't do 1080p. Yeah, you got me. It's on the list because I like Bomberman on a different platform. And
yeah,
I struggle with this category, as I knew I would when I offered you the option. But hell, I'm game for anything.
Yeah.
When we get
this
into
is a challenge.
When we get into the weeds, oof, I've got some opinions. But yeah, I totally put it on there because I was like, Bomberman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something unprecedented in Friendly Debates history. This has never happened before, and I don't know how it's going to go down. Keith,
of
Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Saga, Which one did you like the least?
The least.
Yes.
Right. Well, this is a difficult question for me because Panzer Dragoon was the other game that I got
I just realised what I'm
when the
drinking out of.
murderer.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Mario.
There's nothing you can. I know there's nothing there that you can hold up, which kind of redeems.
No. No.
Yeah.
I don't have anything
Um.
Sega in the back.
But no, Panzer Dragoon was the first game that I got with the Sega Rally Championship. Now I've told you what I thought of Sega Rally Championship. So I did spend a lot of time, and I had to go back because there was quite a few Panzer Dragoons that came out. And there was one I really liked, and then there was one I played loads of, and I played loads of Panzer Dragoon when it first came out because that was the game that came out. I couldn't not really tell you the plot because there wasn't really much that came out plot wise in the game, and all of it was translated from Japanese. Um,
Translated, not localized. There's a difference.
yeah, I don't think there's actually any voiceover to be. It's been that long since I played it. Panzer Dragoon Saga, I only had the demo for because it was coming out at the end of the series. It's one of the few games. It's one of the two games on here which wasn't ported over to another console. And that one was cool and really you got to evolve your dragon in different ways because there was like endurance and speed and agility and like if you took more points of one, it changed the look and color of the dragon and made it weaker in different areas, which was really cool and got to fly around sort of more RPG wise. Whereas Panzer Dragoon was literally on rail shooter, but you were like flying and you could spin all the way around and you had a gun, which might as well have just been a target like acquisition thing for your dragon. I'll probably say Panzer Dragoon Saga because I could only get a certain amount of the way in on the demo. The graphics were obviously much, much better. And it had more story to it, I imagine. Because obviously I was playing the demo. In the original game, which is kind of like you're flying along and then somebody talks in your ear and tells you what it's like, oh, look out, you got this. What? Oh.
Look out, radioactive man.
Like, why is that castle flying towards me? Wait, why is there a castle flying towards me? Also, who builds 1,000-foot high wind turbines in the middle of the ocean? Now I get why they do that. I'm not sure that the people who built the game understood why people would do that.
So, the two, your least favourite was Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Yeah.
Cool, that one. That's the one I nominated to be cut.
Right.
Because I never played them. I can't even be like because X, Y, and Z because I'm like it's an on-rails dragon game. That's it. That's all I've got.
Yeah. I'm just like that's normally what my position is on many of these things. Like I haven't played this game, so I'll get Amy to explain it a bit, and then go, "Well, I didn't really know what it is, so I was just looking at the card."
1,000 flying castles are awesome, and like 1,000-foot high wind turbines are awesome. Like you haven't given me any ammunition to go at it, so the only thing I can say is there's two Panzer Dragoon games on here.
Yeah.
I don't think both of them are going to get into the top 5. So I was like, I want to pick one, but I don't want to pick the wrong one.
I think I'm looking at Panzer Dragoon Saga, which was, I think, critically acclaimed. I also know it didn't get onto another platform. And that, in that full essay, is why Panzer Dragoon Saga should not be cut off this list. But yeah, I was about to say that we should, just so I don't melt all over the place. Because I've only really played the demo, and I know it was one, even though I know it's a critically acclaimed game, which never made it to another system. I would just like I'll move off from Panzer Dragoon Saga because my main thing that I can remember about it is the fact that you could modify the dragons in different ways. I never played it at the end of that game, obviously, so I'll let Panzer Dragoon Saga get cut off.
I love this. We need to do all of our friendly debate episodes for the next year today in this heat. It makes us both very amicable to each other's points. Like, we're not going to spend 20 minutes arguing about Left 4 Dead. Yeah, it's you're up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 left. So
Yeah.
I'll show the list.
So because of what you did, I'm just going to do something a little bit like that, which is explain to me why Shining Force 3 shouldn't be cut compared to Enemy Zero.
Because it was a cool tactical JRPG game that I played for about an hour and a half on on an emulator in university when I was broke, and it didn't suck. I played it because like a lot of people were like Shining Force 3 is one of the best games from the Saturn. And obviously, like, after Final Fantasy VII, I was like, play any JRPG, like, anything, I'll play it all. So I was like, yeah, Shining Force 3, I'll give it a go. And, you know, I was skint. I didn't even have enough money to rent games from Blockbuster, like, a lot of the time. When that was a thing. Because I was in university. And so I was like, yeah, I'll give Shining Force 3 a go. Then cool, like, didn't realise... Despite the fact that it was Shining Force 3, didn't think, I'll play the other games in the series first. Didn't think that. Then I was like, oh, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. It was a really cool game. But I was like, yeah, nah, I'm fine. Do you want this off? Because I'm fine.
Yeah, I only played the other Shining game, which is the other one on this list.
I didn't even know it was those two games were connected. Until I put them both on the list, and I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, there is a series of games, and one of the ones that was originally created, the other game, which never
I knew it was a series of games, because it was Shining Force 3.
Shining the Holy Ark was the game I got because everyone was raging about Final Fantasy VII. Because that was kind of our alternative. It was not a good alternative compared to Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, it was anything.
Yeah. So you've taken Shining off, have you?
Oh, yeah. Like, you see, the thing, you're catching me out on things. Like, it's like, oh, I played this game for 90 minutes once in, like, 2006. And then I was like, this is really confusing. I'll get back to it. And then I never got back to it.
Yeah.
And the bottom, yeah. I think that's all of the games off that I'm like, that are on there from my side that are like, yeah, I didn't really play them that much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are probably a bunch of Saturn fans out there who are ready to fucking rip my throat out for not defending it. But like I say, I played it for like an hour and a half. So here's what we've got left. We've got 7 games left. We have Dragon Force, Enemy Zero, The House of the Dead, Nights in the Dreams, Panzer Dragoon, Shining the Holy Ark, and Virtua Fighter 2. That's it. We've just got to cut 2 of those games off, and then we can move on to our top 5.
I think, given some stuff I've just said, that you totally know a game that you could cut off this list.
I mean, I was going to ask about Shining the Holy Ark. Is it good?
It's been mentioned before on this podcast.
Is it good? What is it? I don't know anything about it.
Shining the Holy Ark is often discussed being the fact that it was the first game from those developers, and I think on the Saturn which mixed polygons and my brain is dying in the heat. Actual artwork,
compressed pixels.
I might have to look up the words.
It's okay. I'll just spout E3 buzzwords while you're doing it. Frame rates you've never seen before. Oh wait, these are all Xbox things.
Yeah.
Xbox make dumb videos. Sega does what Nintendo don't. That was a thing. I remember that marking.
Yeah. Shining the Holy Ark, which was very much similar apparently to Shining in the Dark, which almost sounds like a gamer's quote, doesn't it? Yeah, it's very much it's very much like it's your standard dungeon crawler with your standard sort of like storyline. Like that main character has like a very confusing dream at the beginning of it, in which there's like some demon lord slash evil bad person who's woken up and has decided to start the 1,000-year empire, and says stuff that your character doesn't understand at the beginning of the game. And by 2/3 of the way game, you still don't understand, or at least I didn't. Full disclosure, I don't think I actually finished this game.
Okay.
I think I got either half or 2/3 of the way through it.
You got further than I did in Shining Force 3.
Yeah. There was, as I mentioned, it had like that whole sort of anime style artwork for some things, and then like the pixel art.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably like a Tales game, old Tales game, new Tales game.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just sort of looking at some things and going, oh, I remember so much things like this. The main thing I remember is that even with the 3 different months of Sega Saturn magazine with the walkthrough, I couldn't collect all of the annoying pixies. Now imagine Materia. Materia was a great system in Final Fantasy VII because it worked in combat. It allowed you to do specific tactical abilities and stuff. What Shining the Holy Ark had instead was leprechauns, succubi, pixies, and stuff. It was like right of the screen, left of the screen, underneath, and above. And basically, you would find these little fey creatures hiding in a bucket, that makes sense, or just a random panel of a wall which looks identical to every other panel in the game. There's about 36 of these things hidden throughout the game, and as the combat started, if you guessed where the icon for the bad guy would come in, it didn't spin like in Final Fantasy. It just came on from a random side of the screen, or from up or below. And if you guessed correctly, how many of these characters are associated with Light down, which I believe was leprechauns, and up west, I think might be succubi, they would attack that area. So it's like, oh, I've got 4 on this side. Well, I've got 8 on that side. If I click 8, then I'll get a lot of damage done that comes in. Oh, wait, it came off the wrong direction. That system was so annoying to use in combat. Also, as combat started, let alone actually trying to find all of the panels which had these things, even using the game guide, like the blow through walkthrough. I couldn't find some of them because they just wouldn't activate as a person who'd gone through. The games journalist hadn't been able to find them all.
You know what? I tended to find game guides were kind of shitty back in those days, because I remember I had this book of PlayStation guides, and I had a Final Fantasy VII guide in it, and that guide wasn't helpful at all. Like, it would regularly miss stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where I, from memory now, could probably sit down and give you a better description of all the things you need to do than that book could.
I did look at the game guide Final Fantasy VII while I was playing it on Steam. That's a long tome. That's a massive book of stuff compared to what I got for Shining. Shining, I kind of get a thing of disappointment from it because it wasn't a Final Fantasy VII, which looked amazing. My brother was playing it. I even got to start it on my brother's PlayStation. That was an amazing game. It might be unfair that it came out in the same time period as Final Fantasy
It's
VII.
like
compared to
them
Final
two are
Fantasy
linked
VII.
in your brain. So it's like you compare one to the other. There's only one winner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the main thing that annoyed me was the fact that it was like the game developer expected everybody to run up to every single block of pixels that was part of a wall, floor, ceiling, and like the other wall, and click on it to find out if there was a pixie of like spirit there, or that they were going to buy some sort of game guide they would create. So yeah, that was my main thing. The second thing was, Final Fantasy VII was a much better RPG game. I don't know what the other games of the series are like.
I don't know. Your description kind of makes me feel. Your description kind of makes me feel like I'm glad I didn't get Shining Resonance for Fair last year. I got Valkyria Chronicles 4 instead.
Given my general thing of I got to start in all of the games that I ended up getting on it, apart from 1 or 2 exceptions. I kind of have the feeling I kept getting the worst version of games. There's 2 different games, and I think you got Final Fantasy VII, and I got Resident Evil. I kept getting the worst one, is what I think. It was my first game console experience. Which might explain why I didn't get another one to the 360.
You basically, Yeah, there is a conversation actually to be had. I think we'll have it once we've done this top five about what the Saturn did to Keith as a gamer. Um, but you just basically described the Saturn. The Saturn didn't get Final Fantasy VII. It got something not as good. It didn't
Yeah,
get X. It didn't get Silent Hill. It got Enemy Zero. It didn't like you know what I mean. It didn't get these like seminal, generational, defining
yeah.
games. It got something like
Over. Yeah, it's
a
like,
bit
oh, we
something
didn't
else.
get Tekken. We got Virtual Fighter 2.
Anyway, speaking of Enemy Zero, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's as good. It was the game was okay. The, I liked the trailer, but I was like 10 when I saw it, or
Yeah.
whatever I was, however old I was when I first saw it.
Like,
It was a long time before the game came out because I saw it at the same time as a trailer for Resident Evil off a demo disc off a magazine. I can't argue it into the top five just based on the fact that the developer basically just got their dick out and smacked Sony in the face with it. As entertaining as that story is.
Development.
Actually, that's a good question. Where is that developer now? I might try and find out.
They went bust in the early 2000s.
So we're into the top five.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out. Oh yeah, they actually 2005.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, we're into the top five now. So here's how the top five works. Here are the 5 games that are still left standing in our top. So these are actually the top 5 Sega Saturn games. Dragon Force, House of the Dead, Nights into Dreams, Panzer Dragoon, and Virtua Fighter 2 in what could possibly be a world first. I'm not 100% sure. We've talked about 0 of the things that made it into the top 5. This
Yeah, this is kind of like
highly non-controversial episode. So what we're going to do now is, instead of taking turns to nominate something to be cut and arguing against it, we're going to make pitches. So we're going to make a pitch for number 5, and then number 4, 3, 2, and we won't make a pitch for 1 because there'll only be one thing left.
Yeah.
What'll happen is the person who's making the pitch will make an argument for the game going in there, and then the person who's not making the pitch can either accept that pitch or disagree. If you disagree, however, you have to nominate something else, and then we use consensus to decide what goes in at that number. Does anything stand out?
Yeah.
As a number 5? Yeah, I think we might be on the same page.
Virtual Fighter 2?
Yeah. Yeah, Virtual Fighter 2.
It was another one of those games where I just kind of like, I was looking for stuff that, like, I mean, it got ported to a lot of different systems. And I did play it a bit because it was like the 3D like fighting game. Yeah.
Anyway, he was talking about Virtua Fighter 2.
Yeah, I was like, I played it a bit because it was one of the first few games that I got. It may have actually been 3 games I initially got when the console came out, and Virtua Fighter 2. Back then I didn't know what games like. I suddenly just like looking back, it's like I learned, oh yeah, I like this Unreal shooter, the Panzer Dragoon. Didn't really like the Sega Championship. Didn't really like the Virtual Fighters, but I did prefer X-Men: Children of the Atom and X. And there was another Marvel game which I'm sure was
Marvel
X-Men that was like
Capcom. X-Men.
Might have
Yeah, because I'm sure that was on Sega.
It was. I'm just trying to remember. I remember like Proton Cannon with Iron Man, but I don't remember any Capcom characters.
Are you sure that wasn't just because you weren't playing as Capcom characters?
No.
You were just picking on.
I remembered Morrigan, the Darkstalkers character. And I know she was in
Capcom.
No, I don't remember her being in the game because I would have remembered that.
Anyway, let's talk about Virtua Fighter 2.
Virtua Fighter 2. Was there a guy over the head of... Oh, wait, no, that was Tekken.
No, there was a guy with like straight, sticky up hair.
Yeah, almost Cloud-esque hair.
And there was
black.
the woman with she wore the red outfit, and I used to pick her all the time. I used to play this game with my friend Matt, like a lot, because we used to play competitive games like all the time. Like, we never do what we did, which was sit down with a single player game and play it and like just enjoy it together. Like, we always had to both be playing, which was exhausting, let me tell you. But also, our options were limited until they got an N64.
Yeah.
So Virtua Fighter 2 was a game that we played a lot of, and I used to pick the woman who wore the
Yeah.
red. I don't know if she's a famous character or not.
No, the woman actually appears to wear pink in the picture of this Google. I just want to stop at this woman. This go that the main character appears on the front of everything. Basically, looks like the guy from Shenmue, or possibly,
Maybe
the
that's why
main
I like
character
this
from
game more than
Street
it.
Fighter.
Maybe that's why I like this game, because the guy looks like Shenmue, and Shenmue is fucking seminal. But no, I used to pick her. He used to pick the dude from the cover of the game, and then I used to just go, because it was a 3D fighter. I used to just go at the edge of the arena, and then I'd bait him into attacking me, and then I'd sidestep, then I'd kick him off the edge every single time. That was how our fights went. Either I wouldn't time it properly, and he would boot me off, or I would go around and I'd kick him off. And then I think we played for like 20 minutes at a time, and then he'd get sick of it because I wasn't doing it properly.
Yeah.
And then we played something else. Oh, I used to play a lot of football games, which weren't my thing.
The character you're remembering is called Pai Chan.
All right, cool. The more you know. So Virtua Fighter 2 is an easy slot in to number 5.
Yeah.
I want to put House of the Dead at number 4 out of what we've got left. It's ironic, actually, because I've been playing Judgment recently.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, the past week. And, like, I went to the Sega arcade, and the first arcade machine in there is a House of the Dead knockoff. And I played it, like, 3 times in a row trying to finish it, and I always get killed by the last boss. Because you don't have a light gun. I've just got a PS4 controller, right? So it's like, I'm using and it's just the last boss. I can't aim, because you shoot there. When they're attacking, you shoot the circles, and I can never get them all.
I had a light gun. I've still got it. Actually, it's called the Predator light gun, and it was probably one of the first cross-party peripherals. It was designed to work with either the Sega or the PlayStation. Basically, by having like the end of the wire just had 2 different adapter things on the end of it at right angles. And it shot slightly to the left, as my brother pointed out once. But I was the only one that ever had, so I just kind of started shooting. just automatically attenuated for the fact that shot slightly to the left. There's my brother using the stick because every time he played with me on something, only Die Hard and Virtual Cop, I think.
This is what I'm saying. Those 2 games I played more.
Yeah.
But the rules of top 5 Sega Saturn games say that I couldn't have either of them. Because Die Hard was the first one I went and thought of from what we used to play.
Yeah.
But The House of Dead was a great game. I enjoyed it. There's a reason. Again, it's one of the few games on this list that people who weren't around during that time might have still heard of.
One of the reasons is I go around to my brother's occasionally, and when I'm planning to go down, I do ask him to charge up his Wii controller because he has 3D printed guns, which you sit the Wii controller in, and they fire like light guns. And we play that off his TV.
Yeah, but I look at the other 3 games on this list, and I'm like, if you stopped 100 people, 100 random gamers, right, young gamers, right, and you asked them what they thought of the other 3 games on this list, they'd be like, what?
I think there's a chance that they'll have heard of one of them.
I mean, after E3.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have heard of the one that got announced as getting remastered. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, House of the Dead at number 4 below the 3 games that we've got left.
Yeah.
It's fun. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing it again in Judgment. Clearly.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't just capturing. I went in there being like, I'm going to capture some footage to use in the video of, in my video of Judgment of a game. And I was like, it's going to be this one. And then I was like, cool, I've got all the footage I need, but I died at the last boss. 500 yen. Bam, I'm going again.
Yeah.
So yeah, any objection to that?
No.
Okay. Now let me just write it on here. House. Also, the film was the worst thing ever.
A lot of like game films are.
Especially the ones made by UA Ball.
Detective Pikachu, actually a good
Wasn't made
film.
by UA Ball. So we're down to final three: Dragon Force, Nights into Dreams, and Panzer Dragoon.
So to skip back several seconds, when we were discussing the people may have heard of this actual game, I'm going to cut to the one I actually meant and not the one Amy was talking about. At number 3, I would like to nominate Nights into Dreams,
Is Nights into
which
Dreams something people have heard of? I know
Nights into
99
Dreams,
Nights is a thing.
Nights is, or as it's often referred to as, was kind of phenomenal. It was one of the most famous Saturn games. Lots of people
I mean,
like looked at it and
that's not saying much.
yeah. Um, it was one of those things that got like people's attention across like games consoles. I think because I never played more than the demo,
It
but I
definitely
do
got
remember
re-released.
it got re-released more than once. It appeared on the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. They made a direct sequel for the Wii. It got released on PC as well. Anything else did? Oh, it got released on the 360. The Xbox 360
That'll be
also
why.
picked it up.
That'll be why I
Uh,
remember.
it was very well received,
Oh,
as
I
you'll
mean,
imagine, because of how much it was re-released and redone. I mean, as I said, it got a sequel on Wii. But
if I was sitting down, if I was sitting down to make, let's say, a top 100 games of all time list, which I'm never gonna do because that video would last way too fucking long.
that would be you trying to make a top 10 list. That's just what would happen if you tried to make a top 10 list.
No, I just mean like I imagine how long it would take to record the audio and find all the footage, but I consider Nights into Dreams for like being like on the list.
Yeah.
Because it was really good. Like I like platformers. I suck at them. I just streamed Super Mario Maker not that long ago and I had a great time. I was terrible at it, but I had a great time. And Nights into Dreams was really good.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember huge amounts about it, but I remember it controlled really well. And in a world where I had mostly played Sonic,
Yeah.
which again, the original Sonic trilogy is great, don't get me wrong, but fucking Jesus, it's a nightmare to try and get Sonic to move how you want him to move because of the momentum that they built into that game. But yeah, Nights into Dreams, I really enjoyed it. There's only one game on this list I enjoyed more.
Indeed.
And one
I'm
game
sure we'll get
I've
that
already
eventually.
mentioned that I didn't play. But because I know like how much Panzer Dragoon means to you, like, and because I've been down this road with the Sega Master System too on a different list, I am gonna forgo the emotional beatdown that I would get if I tried to bump Nights into Dreams up in a second and just be like, cool.
If it helps, I'm not too bothered about if you want to like debate the Panzer Dragoons. I just remember Crimson Skies, which was the Xbox Connect version game that they tried to bring back, and it was that disappointment isn't more than enough to carry me through.
It was the way your face lit up during our when we were watching
Yeah.
the Nintendo Direct, when it was like it's Panzer Dragoon, like
Yeah,
recognized it instantly and stuff.
I knew in my heart. I don't know how I knew from like it was like within a second I knew it was Panzer Dragoon.
You know what it
and, like,
reminded me of? Because we didn't live stream this. Do you remember the Conference of Dreams, the first one?
Yeah.
Because we were on voice chat on Steam,
Yeah.
but we weren't. I was live tweeting, but we weren't. We didn't stream it back then because it was like 2015, and it was the same thing happened when Shenmue started. It was the first 3 bars of the music, and I was like, "It's fucking Shenmue," and I think Tom was like mocking me, and I was like, "No, mate, this is fucking Shenmue." And it was Shenmue, and you did the same thing. It's Panzer Dragoon. Like there are certain things I think that are just keyed into us where we'll recognize it instantly.
I don't even know what made me think it was Panzer Dragoon. I was like, it can't be, and then Panzer Dragoon, and it came up, it's like,
Yeah, because
Panzer
it's
Dragoon.
like there's no way in hell. 3 weeks ago, or whatever it was, when we were sitting down to do our podcast before E3, there's no way in hell Panzer Dragoon never came up. Like for good reason.
I was surprised when Panzer Dragoon, like when Crimson Skies came up, and I was like,
Yeah.
But to be honest, I was kind of surprised when I was researching this that there had been so many versions of Panzer Dragoon. Because I knew there was two. There was Panzer Dragoon and Panzer Dragoon Saga, which were console exclusives. But then there were a load which I assume were only made beforehand, which came out in Japan. There is a Wikipedia page for just Panzer Dragoon,
But yeah,
which I'm not going down.
to go back to your point,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to make an argument against Panzer Dragoon because I can't.
Okay.
Like my argument against Panzer Dragoon Saga was which one did you like least?
Yeah.
That one. So like yeah, unless you stop me, I'm putting it in that order.
Yeah.
Because I'm perfectly fine with Panzer going in second because I'll accept Nights into Dreams going in third because in the end we have the rightful champion.
Mm-hmm.
The game
There was no
probably only we played on Sega Saturn.
There are people out there who will have never heard of this game. There are people out there who will not know the joy and the wonder of this game. There are people out there who may have watched this podcast before and will have heard about how my two best friends would come over and then fight over who was going to get to play this game while we were supposed to be doing other stuff.
We'd be playing D&D and Russ would get knocked out and he'd fuck off and turn the Saturn on.
Yeah, he was playing a rogue, so he didn't have as many hit points as your character, Droblod. It was a fighter, ranger barbarian.
Yeah. And for anyone that keeps asking, that's where the Twitter handle came from.
Yeah. I don't know how you made up the name on the when we came to this. Yeah.
Don't know either. But Dragon Force
It was the wee man.
by the way, the best Saturn game there ever was, as far as I'm concerned.
So Dragon Force is an amazing Japanese RPG game based on most strategic combat. But it had some wonderful things. It's like you started the game and you could basically choose different rulers that you're going to play as who had different kingdoms. And the way of the order probably gave you some hint of which ones was probably the best to start with. But when you're going through, because you get slightly different storylines. But my word, there was some the changes and the difficulty spikes on certain rulers. It's just
God, yeah.
Playing it ropes. It's like if you play, I want to call him Arthur. I don't think he's got Arthur. The blonde-haired, white, nice dude. Not only did the first other kingdom surrender to you because you were childhood friends and had visions from the goddesses, but all your fights were a lot easier if you chose the opponent's bad guy of the game. He then found out that it was actually his twin brother and had a much harder game than everybody else did to unite all of the kingdoms.
I mean, I don't know anything about the story. I don't. I remember exploring the overworld. I remember doing the fights, and it was like you picked an army type, so you had soldiers and they had archers. So and then those two things would just fight.
Yeah.
And then different troop types had different weaknesses to each other. But then there was all the other stuff. You could capture. I remember you could capture generals and interrogate them.
Yes.
That was a thing, and you could even potentially turn them and recruit them onto your team.
Yeah.
You had castles that you had to defend. You were literally exploring lanes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because instead of getting characters who would be in your party, you got characters who would then be put in charge of troops who basically arm. You just send these guys running around. You could fortify castles to make them bigger and stronger and stuff. Or you could recruit troops from them. And there was various different troop types, some of which were round numbers. You had soldiers, archers, mages, zombies, beastmen. There was dragons, which we all went for.
Yeah. Which
is just cool because they didn't look like proper dragons. They were just basically dragging men.
Yeah.
Hybrids.
They just charged.
It's flat. Oh, there was harpies as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, and you used to because it was in weeks. Was it weeks? Or was it months?
It went. I think they went weeks,
It's like a
months.
turn.
Yeah, you had to think about time. Yeah.
Yeah, a turn was a week, and then at the end of the week, you would give out medals to your generals, and that was how they got.
Yeah.
That was how they increased their troop sizes. There was tons
Up
of
to
stuff
about
you did.
100.
Basically, what I'm trying to get at, there was tons of stuff you did that wasn't fighting, like
Yeah.
and doing the strategy stuff. And I never liked strategy stuff that much, so I
Yeah.
really dug it like quite a bit.
There was the thing that at the beginning of the battle was just like, I picked the main that like fighting the force and telling me to archers or mages. I'll get most of my army to deploy in like 2 blocks as if they're doing the flank maneuver on someone, and then get everyone to disperse down the side of the battlefield. So this goes like there's just like oblong, and you just see the on a little mini map like all these troops are sort of like dispersed into a thin line down the entire of each side, and when they got fully filled out, the archer, the mages who are still firing down the main thing just at my general. Only one of which was hit a turn or something. And it's like, all right, yeah, all these arrows and stuff just go like, oh, they've dispersed. We can't hit the ones on the outside. Just keep firing at the general. And it's like, okay, now everyone go for the kill. And most of your guys will die. Will still get hit. But a lot less of them will get hit than when you just ran in because some of them would have just like gone, only about 5 feet now to charge into the archers.
Yeah, I remember. I had so much fun playing that game. And I haven't played it,
well.
I've been crying out into social media.
Yeah.
For a sequel to this game.
There was.
No, not Dragon Force 2. I mean, like a new game. I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I want a new game. Yeah. Remaster the fucking original if you have to.
Yeah, you wouldn't really have to remaster it that much because plenty of games come out on like Steam with this sort of general aesthetic. General aesthetic was sort of like, oh yeah, we've got these sort of cute anime style characters. Please put an image of this just on the on there, please, because this game art style does.
You would 100% need to remaster it because it would need to be in high definition.
But it was just wonderful. I mean, overall it was sort of like pixels, but then when you went on in the background on some of the places were pixels. But other ones were just loving art pieces, like in like the little guys, and they were kind of animated because everyone just sort of did that sort of nod with the entire body where it just kind of bounced up and down slightly in tune with every other. So when you have an army of 100 facing an army of 100, you just got these like guys bobbing up and down.
Okay, I'm gonna move this in front of me.
Yeah.
It's a picture. I hate Windows. Windows sucks. There you go. But the podcast should be recording. It's split in half because hang on. There we go. It's a picture of a battle from the game. And just half of Keith. Don't ask. Nope. Yeah.
This is awesome.
It was cool. This is what a battle looked like in Dragon Force. It was great.
And then now I will watch this video so I can see what the picture.
Yeah. Play Dragon Force.
Yeah.
Get the sound back out.
I need to get that thing for the.
You remember how I was saying I got an emulator for Shining Force 3? Well, I got an emulator for Dragon Force, and I happened to use it to play Shining Force 3. So we got the final standards. We've narrowed it down. We've got our top 5. In 5th place, we have Virtua Fighter 2. In 4th place, we have House of the Dead. In 3rd place, we have Nights in Dreams. In 2nd place, we have Panzer Dragoon. And at number 1, we have Dragon Force. A game we could probably talk for another hour about.
Probably. It's one of my all-time favorite games.
But that's going to do it for this episode of Friendly Debates.
I'm amazed we went an entire episode and had 2 games on there called Panzer Dragoon and never wanted to win. Yeah, we're not entirely sure why they decided to go on about German tank names and stuff and that.
But to make the point that I wanted to make, that I said I was going to make earlier, Keith owned a Sega Saturn. Keith watched as me and Russell and his brother, his sister, all got the games that he actually wanted. Well, he was stuck on a platform that couldn't play most of the games that he wanted. Don't get me wrong, we had like Dragon Force, amazing.
Yeah.
You had Command and Conquer. I remember that was the thing that was on the
Yes.
Saturn.
That was amazing. Spent most of my time on that as well.
But while we were off playing our Final Fantasies and our Resident Evil sequels and our Silent Hills and our Medal of Honors on the PlayStations, Keith then didn't basically. You didn't really play games for a while after that. It wasn't even just you didn't have a games console until the Xbox 360. I remember you basically kind of didn't play very much. You maybe like between the end of the Saturn and when you got the 360, which I believe was like halfway through the generation. If not longer. Like I think you might have played like a dozen games in that entire time. The Saturn broke him, people.
That's like I developed an interest in a PC game called Neverwinter Night. A little bit. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. I'm so glad Steam wasn't a thing at the time, because you'd see how much time I put into that game. I've completed that game like 2-3 times. Started maybe 50.
But yeah, that was the point I was going to get across. Like, but I wanted to save it till the end. It was like the Saturn kind of broke you for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, I played on the Xbox at yours. I played on the Xbox 360 at yours. It's why I owned an Xbox 360 game a day earlier than I actually had the Xbox. Which is amazing.
I mean, you're back now, obviously. You have as many systems as I do.
Indeed.
And we do a podcast together, and it all's well that ends well. But when you talk about gaming burnout, I've never seen anyone have such an epic gaming burnout as Keith did. I think it was like Final Fantasy VII just killed it for him because he was just like.
I got a taste of that game on my brother's console and stuff, but yeah, on my console.
It's like when The Last of Us came out on PS3. And I didn't have a PS3, but everybody I knew had a PS3. So like everybody was playing The Last of Us, and I was stuck. And that would have been one thing. Everybody's playing The Last of Us and talking about how amazing The Last of Us was, and then I had that game, that Don't Nod action game that I fucking hated. Remember Me, it was called, ironically. And I was like, I'm playing this, and everybody else is playing Last of Us. So imagine it was a similar situation. I hated my fucking life.
I'm trying to. Is Remember Me the one with mindjacking, or is that called?
No, that's called Mindjack. This is similar because I think you go into people's memories and you rewind them or something. I don't know. It wasn't very good. That's going to do it. Thank you for joining me, Keith. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully it won't be too warm. Keep an eye out on youtube.com/wordsaboutgamesuk for all the cool videos that we do. We've got a podcast that's going to be coming out tomorrow where we talk about serious things, sort of, mostly, sometimes. Shit, there aren't was. Say bye.
Bye.